Hello viewers, welcome to our program on immigration and you. I am your immigration attorney Michael Phulwani, and once again we have with us attorney David Nachman, my partner. I know that you missed him for the last few weeks. He has been traveling. David, welcome back.
Thanks so much, Michael.
And
Thank you.
We have a very important guest today, Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney from New York. And we welcome her on this program.
Thank you for having me.
And two important subjects today we are going to be talking. First about the Diwali postage stamp, and we'll explain to you what efforts she has made. And hopefully in the following program we'll talk about the new immigration bill that was passed by the Senate, and now it is in the hands of our Congresswoman Maloney in a way. Right. It's in the House, basically.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, okay.
But before we do that, Michael, I think what I'd like to do is just maybe tell our viewing audience a little bit about Congresswoman Maloney and her background.
Absolutely.
And introduce her properly to our viewing audience. And so with that,
do the honors of introducing her.
And it's great that I have an opportunity to do that, and I know that it's a tremendous undertaking for her to take time out of her very busy schedule to be with us today, because as a former staffer for Senator Bradley, I know how busy the Congress people are running around and taking care of all of their business. So I have the honor today to introduce Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, who represents New York's 12th Congressional District, which includes the east side of Manhattan, Roosevelt Island, Long Island City, Queens, Williamsburg, Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and she served in the U.S. House of Representatives for over 10 years, over 10 terms. And she's a national leader with extensive accomplishments in various important areas such as financial services, national security, the economy, and with regard to women's issues. Congresswoman Maloney has served on the Historic Conference Committee for the Dodd-Frank financial reforms, which was created under the Consumer Financial, which created the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and her Credit Card Bill of Rights, which is the Credit Card Act, was signed by President Obama in the spring of 2009. She has also authored the James Zaraga 9/11 Healthcare and Compensation Act, which provides benefits to 9/11 first responders, and she also, her Debbie Smith Act, which got passed and signed into law, increases funding for law enforcement to process DNA rape kits. Lately, she's led the effort in Congress to push the U.S. Postal Service to issue a commemorative Diwali stamp, which we're going to talk about today. And what I'd like to do is welcome the Congresswoman.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So here's my first question, that you have made so many efforts to get a Diwali postage stamp released by the Postmaster General, and you have been leading the campaign amongst the lawmakers. My question is, can you please tell our viewers how you got involved? Where people are wondering how Carolyn Maloney got into the Diwali stamp, which is very interesting. And Diwali is a festival of lights. It's very important for millions and millions of Hindus especially, and others too, all over the world. In India, you have 1 billion people. Still somehow this program is going to go to India also, to various other countries through our other means of communication. So how you got involved in Diwali stamp?
I was invited by my constituents and by my friends to so many festivals and so many celebrations of Diwali. And as you know, it's the Festival of Light. And at each event, I was just overwhelmed with the incredible mixture of joy and gentleness, light and generosity that was part of the whole evening. In my district, we probably have the largest Diwali celebration in the whole United States down at South Street Seaport. Last Diwali event had well over 2,000 people, maybe many thousands more, gathered to celebrate the good over evil, light over darkness. And I've had the good fortune of representing a really diverse constituency in my district, which is the east side of Manhattan, Astoria, Queens, and now Greenpoint, Brooklyn and Williamsburg, Brooklyn. In my district, over 138 different languages are spoken, and in many celebrations of many religions and many festivals. And I would say that over the years, I've had a considerable number of Indian American and South Asian constituents and friends. And I would say that Diwali is probably one of the oldest and most celebrated holidays in the world that impacts on many people. And we have stamps now for Hanukkah, for Christmas, for Kwanzaa, for Eid, for all these different celebrations. Why not Diwali? After all, there are over 3 million Indian Americans in America now. And in India, there's over 1 billion.
That's right.
And they would all be celebrating and buying the stamp. This could help the Postal Service too. They have a deficit of over $16 billion last year alone. And I've been telling them, have the Diwali stamp. You'll have over 1 billion Indian Americans and others in the diaspora around the world, and another 3 million in America. It's long overdue. We should celebrate Diwali not only with wonderful festivals and remembrances and joys of light, but by having a Diwali stamp.
And
it's long past due.
When people in India, other countries, millions of them, will be getting our letters and Diwali greeting cards with a Diwali postage stamp.
Right, exactly.
Congresswoman Maloney, who led this campaign and made this possible. So we again thank you very much for the same. I know David has a question also.
Well, actually, I was thinking, I didn't even think of the international investment aspect.
Of course,
it's absolutely brilliant. It's a fantastic way to do things.
Well, I do want to get into how we can help pass the Diwali stamp. I introduced in Congress a bill, Intro 47, and it now has 43 co-sponsors. And if you go to my website at carolynmaloney.com or Maloney, Congresswoman Maloney at mail.house.gov, you'll see the list of the 43 co-sponsors. And I'd like to ask your viewers to write them and thank them for sponsoring the Diwali stamp legislation and urge their Congress members to become co-sponsors of Intro 47 to help us make this turn into the reality of a stamp. We've had so much support. I presented to the Deputy Postmaster General over 1,300 letters that I gathered from my constituents along with Ravi Batra and others that were helping me. And we had an online petition that has over 400,000 people have signed in support of the Diwali stamp. The Consul General Muley wrote a poem in support of the Diwali stamp, and we've had an artistic competition where school children across the United States are putting forward artwork of what they think the stamp should look like. Now, what is going to happen is that there is a Citizens Stamp Advisory Committee in the Postal Department, and these 23 people make a decision on what the stamps are going to be. They will be meeting this coming September 23rd and 24th to make their decision. So I am urging everyone to write the Citizens Stamp Advisory Committee. You can write them care of the Stamp Development, U.S. Postal Service at 475 L'Enfant Plaza, Plaza, at Southwest, room 3300 in Washington, D.C. at 20260-3501. So if they would write their letters in support of the Diwali stamp and urge their members of Congress to become co-sponsors of the Intro 47 in support of the Diwali stamp. These are ways that we as a community can work together to push this stamp to become a reality.
And by the way, while you are watching this program, we are flashing on the screen the website information of Congresswoman Maloney, as well as the address of the Citizenship Committee to whom you could be writing. And isn't it a good idea that for our viewers to contact their congressmen also to tell them that please, this is the initiative that Congresswoman Maloney has taken please you also support us. The more letters people get, emails and letters from the constituents, the more they may be interested to do that, and hopefully, God willing, this will happen.
The hardest thing is waiting. And we'll have to wait until September 23rd and 24th. If we are not selected, then they can put us on a waiting list. But it is long past due. We should have the Diwali stamp. So I'm really urging all of you to reach out to the Postmaster General, reach out to your Congress members, and help us pass this celebration of the Festival of Life. And this is not only celebrated by Hindus, it's celebrated by Christians, it's celebrated by Jains, it's celebrated by
Sikhs.
many Sikhs, you're right, many people across the country, and the diaspora in many other countries. So it's long past due. So please call your Congress member, call your Postmaster General, write them, and urge them to support the important Diwali stamp.
I think that probably Diwali this year is around November 4th or 5th. Do you think it's possible that this may happen this Diwali?
Yes, I think it's very, very possible because we've had so much support. Over 1,300 letters have come in. Over 400 signatures have gone on a petition. 43 members of Congress have passed and supported legislation. And we need to keep this drumbeat of support up. They will be making their decision on September 23rd and 24th. So I have my fingers crossed. I am hoping very much that it's time for the Diwali stamp.
God willing, God willing.
God
Inshallah.
willing.
And many of our viewers come from different forms of status, which is sort of an interesting segue into the next thing we're going to talk about. But some of them are green card holders and they don't necessarily vote. Some of them may be out of status. Some of them are U.S. citizens. But whatever your status is, and you know from Michael and I having told you in the past, your voice makes a difference. Having been in an office on Capitol Hill, having worked on Capitol Hill, and I'm sure that the Congresswoman would agree, is that when her phone is ringing, she is hearing the voice of her constituents, and it makes a difference. They actually do take numbers on the telephone calls, the emails that come in, and the letters. So this is a way to have your voice heard. Even if you don't vote, you are members of political organizations, religious organizations, or social organizations, you can easily make your voice heard through those organizations. So please make those calls to your congressional representatives and let the Postmaster General know how you feel about this issue.
Now, I think another Congresswoman, I think Tulsi Gabbard also have been supporting this. Well, she's the, I think, first Hindu, I would say, that is a Congresswoman, and she has been supporting and working with you a lot also on this.
Yes, she's wonderful. She has been helping me a great deal. When we introduced the bill, there were 4 original co-sponsors. I authored it, but Tulsi helped me, as did Ami Bara, and also Grace Ming. So we were the team that introduced it, and we've been working to get the co-sponsorship in Congress and urge your listeners to really help us. But Tulsi is a great addition, and she is the first Hindu. She is from Honolulu. She's from Hawaii,
Yes.
and she's a warrior. I don't know if you know that, but she served in Iraq. She is literally a warrior and a very competent and hardworking legislator.
Now this one thing is still I don't know, and I'm sure the viewers want to know. How does it work? In other words, the decision-making committee is the Citizens Stamp Committee.
Yeah.
And there are, how many members you say there are in that?
Roughly 23 members of the Citizen Stamp Committee, and yet they read all the letters.
Right.
And there's been a lot of publicity around it. We had the Consul General write a poem that was published on the front page of many Indian American papers. And then we had these petitions that we personally handed to the Postmaster General and to his deputy, Ron Stroman. We have over 400,000 signatures on a petition that we started. So we're doing a lot of things to really, really get the message out and to get support for it.
I think, if you don't mind, I'd like to read the poem to the people. Is there?
The poem, do we have a copy of the poem?
No. I had some. So while we are waiting for the poem to come, how is the decision made? In other words, All these things happen, and then they have a meeting. It's by a vote of majority, or how does it?
I have been promoting this legislation and a Diwali stamp for years. I've had it before Congress for roughly 7 years. They keep deferring action on it. It is time that we have it passed. And the way it happens is that the Citizens Advisory Committee will listen to all of the recommendations from the citizens and from other people, and they will weigh the pros and cons, and they'll make their decision. It will be a majority vote. That's why it's so important to not only have the co-sponsors of Intro 47 in support of it, but to sign the petition, write a letter, reach out and make it happen. We had a celebration of Diwali and an announcement of our efforts at the Consul General's home in Manhattan. I have the privilege of representing him. And this is his poem, Towards Diwali Stamp. Brighten up the world. Light up the nearest lamp. Stamp out clouds of darkness. Bring in the Diwali stamp. So it's really, really well
very interesting.
needed.
So now, basically, we have to wait. You mentioned earlier a particular date that you think it may happen. What was
They
that?
will be voting, the Citizen Advisory Committee, on September 23rd and September 24th. So that's important that we get our letters and phone calls and legislation and support, so they see the tremendous support that we have, not only here in New York City, which I represent. It is a very diverse city. I know that in my district alone there are 138 different languages spoken.
Right.
But across our whole great state, we need, across our whole great country, we need everyone writing in support of the Diwali stamp.
Now let's say that if the decision is made, how much time then is taken in implementation? In other words, how the further process goes after the committee says, okay, done, we are approving it. What happens thereafter?
Once it's done, then they hire someone to come forward with the artwork to create the Diwali stamp. But we've been ahead of them. We've been having a competition with school children and artists across America, and we've already submitted the artwork. The artwork has already been done by people who support the Diwali stamp. So hopefully it'll move a lot quicker, but not by November 4th.
Oh, I see. That was my...
But we will hopefully be able to announce at the festival that we have the stamp. It's long past due, long past due.
Yeah. But how much the stamp, that will they decide, 10 cents or 20 cents or 50 cents, the value, that they will decide.
They will decide. The first hurdle is to make them make the decision that we are going to have the Diwali stamp.
That's very interesting. You have any other questions on the stamp?
No, I think it's a great idea. I didn't again think of the international investment aspect of it, and it's also going to keep the folks at the Bureau of Engraving busy, because they're going to have to print those stamps and start getting them out there. So that's also a benefit.
Well, Indian Americans have made such a great contribution to our country, and Hindus have made such a great contribution. The Sikhs, the Jains, everyone has made a great contribution. And this is a way to acknowledge and say thank you. Thank you very much for being such good citizens, for being such good Indian Americans or Asian Americans, or Christian Americans. There are lots, it's all different religions. Many people, not just Hindus, but many others celebrate light. They celebrate goodness over badness, and the celebration of the Festival of Lights. It's celebrated across the world, and so it's long past due, and I am hoping with all of your support that we'll finally get the Diwali stamp.
So what's the most effective way? Emails, calls, letters?
Well, let's remember that we're talking about the post office. So they want to see the letters.
Okay.
Right.
They want to see the letters and the stamps on those letters. That's what they want to see.
You made a very good point, very good point.
Okay.
So you have to send it by mail, get some postage stamp, write some nice letter, and request your congressman, congresswoman, or congressman, requesting them to support us. And David and me, we are always here to give you any assistance that you need from us. And also, I'm sure that if you go to the website of Congresswoman Maloney, there's some information on that. And also, the question was, some people about our community will keep calling, who do I write to, who do I send to, give me the email, give me the mailing address and all that. So what is the best source for them to this?
Right, a citizen stamp committee.
Yeah, they have the names of all. I'm asking about, they should write to them or they should write to their Congress people.
Well, they should ask their Congress people to be a co-sponsor of Intro 47,
Yeah.
which is a bill in support of the Diwali stamp. But this is writing directly with a letter to the postal committee that's making the decision.
So they can do both.
They
It's
can
a,
do
it's a
both.
two-pronged approach.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So they can send a letter to this the Citizen Stamp Advisory Committee. That's the one you said they should send by mail, postage stamp.
Right, and that address
Right.
should be
It is the
flashed
post
on the.
office, so we should show a little
on the screen.
respect,
Yeah.
right?
But to the congressmen and senators could be also, or no?
Well, it's Congress members.
Congressmen. Okay, so the congressmen, maybe you or David, I'm not sure, what is the best website where they can find the name and address of their congressperson?
Well, they can look at, there's publications in every city and state that lists the Congress members, and go to those websites and find out the name of your Congress member and reach out to them.
No, but I'm saying we are there, David and me, more than happy. If you want to write a letter to your congressperson and you don't know how to do it, send us an email. We'll provide you with the address and mailing address of the person. We are willing to do whatever help we can do. But you viewers have to do that. You want the postage stamp, Diwali, to be released, then you have to make some efforts, and we are doing what we can. And the top of the campaign is Congressman Maloney, who has done all this job, and we are just trying to help her. But
Thank you so much. I'm deeply appreciative of your help
we are-
and for the opportunity to talk about it on your show. Thank you.
we are grateful to you. We are thankful
I am the
to
one
you
who is grateful.
for
I am the
being
one
with
who
us
is
here
grateful.
today on this program.
I am the one who is
And,
grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
before we come to an end of the program, we know that you will be doing another program with us about the comprehensive immigration reform, the bill that is passed by the Senate, and now it is in your hands. The House, and you are an important factor of the House of Representatives, and that's a very interesting program. So make sure that you watch that program, because you're going to get a lot of good information from Congresswoman Maloney, where we are, how we are doing the bill, what we can also do to get the bill passed by the same kind of approach to contact more and more senators and congressmen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a
Great
lot.
to
Thank you
see
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being with us.
My great pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you, David, also. being
Thank
with
you,
us.
Michael.
And thank all of you for watching the program. Please keep watching us on ITV every Saturday and Sunday, and we'll bring this more and more important information to you every week. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was good. That was a
lot of stuff to do.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I
this
gotta
is
go
a
do-
small dent in her day.
I got to go do another
I know.
Yeah, okay.
ad for 9/11 because the deadline is coming up.
Okay,
too.
we're
Yes,
gonna
yes.
we're gonna
Sign
get
up.
you out of here. They're actually
Okay.
very
Because
they're
really-
very quick.
Okay. Okay.
Hello viewers, welcome to our program on Immigration and You. I am your immigration attorney, Michael Phulwani. Once again, we have with us our partner, David Nachman. David, welcome.
Thanks very much.
And
Michael.
guess who? Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. You saw her last program on the postage stamp, is here today again, and she's going to be now discussing and talking to us about the comprehensive immigration reform bill. Remember that bill was passed by the Senate with a big majority, I believe was 68 to 32, something like that. And now that bill is in the House. Every day we are getting hundreds of calls, David and me, when the bill is going to pass, and we are trying to explain them. The bill doesn't become a law until both the House and the Senate pass it, and then President Obama signs it. So today we are really honored to have you.
My honor to be
And
here.
Thanks so much
we
for
have
your
few
time.
questions to talk
Thank
about
you.
the comprehensive immigration. If you can provide that information to us, we'll be grateful to you. So here is a, you want a quick introduction again? Those people might have watched, a brief one?
Sure, absolutely. So we have the honor here today of having with us Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney, who represents New York's 12th Congressional District, which includes the east side of Manhattan, Roosevelt Island, Long Island City, Queens, Williamsburg, Greenpoint, and recently Greenpoint, I believe.
Right.
Brooklyn, Greenpoint, Brooklyn. And she served in the House of Representatives for over 10 terms, and she's taken the lead on and has extensive accomplishments in areas such as financial services, national security, the economy, and with regard to women's issues. So thank you so much for taking the time out to be with us today.
Totally my pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
So now that the Senate has passed the S744, the bill, and everybody's anxious. Actually, when the bill was passed, most people were very excited. They were hoping this to become a law. Unfortunately, there is a lot of disappointment because when they see all the time some Republican groups which are divided into 3 different parts, some of them don't want anything, some of them don't want the S744, they want to make their own bill, and some of them still want to follow the Senate bill. So you know more. I mean, we just, as attorneys, we have some information that we are giving to them. It comes from your mouth to see, do you think that the House will pass the bill?
Well, I'm very hopeful because it is so needed, and it passed so overwhelmingly with strong support, 68 to 32. That is a strong support coming over from the Senate.
Yeah.
And the Senate bill's number is 744. For anyone who wants to look it up on the internet, you can get a copy of it from my website, Carolyn Maloney at mail.house.gov. But this important bill, the Democrats we would support immediately. Bring it to the floor, let's have a vote. And as one who represents a large immigration community, there are over 138 different languages spoken in my district alone. You can see the great Statue of Liberty in the harbor of New York. We're all immigrants in New York. We're all immigrants in this great country. If you're not an American Indian, you're an immigrant. And immigrants have built this country. So I'm very strongly supportive of it. Regrettably, the Assembly is not taking, or rather the Congress, with Congressman Boehner has said he will not take up the Senate version of the bill, but will put forward his own version. And so he will be putting forward a version that will look at separate, different, piecemeal approaches to the challenge. And I don't think that that is going to be as helpful, but if we can pass them, we can get into conference, hopefully, with the Senate bill. It appears that the House Republican plan is one of a piecemeal approach. They will be smaller but related to immigration bills. And there is clear that there's a sort of small but adamant Republican group that is opposed to any immigration reform. So the outcome is a little uncertain, but we will be pushing hard. We have a task force in Congress that is working to get the bill done, and we want to give a pathway to citizenship, and we want also to modernize the bill and move forward in many different ways.
And we thank you very much for your support, of course, of the bill. And
absolutely.
We're kind of curious to know, in your eyes, what do you think maybe the chances might be of the bill getting passed ultimately? Do you have any feelings
I'm very
yourself,
hopeful
yeah.
that we will get a bill passed. We have 11 million undocumented workers, and we need to give them a pathway to citizenship. It would be good for them and their families and good for the overall economy. There was a report that came out on New York that said if the bill passed, then that would add 33,000 new jobs in New York and just millions, multi-millions in revenues. So it's a win-win in so many ways. It's a little uncertain what's going to happen because of the approach from the Congress, and the leadership of the Congress is going to be so different from the Senate that did a comprehensive bill. They're going to cut it into piecemeal versions. I believe something will pass. The question is, in
What's
what
that piece
form
gonna be?
and
Yeah.
what is it going to contain?
Right.
We certainly support having a path to citizenship, securing our borders, modernizing and updating the whole system, but it will be controlled very much by the Republican leadership that controls the House, the form in which it goes to the floor. I do believe we will pass a bill in the House, and I believe we have the possibility of passing a Senate-House bill. The question is, what is going to be in it?
So what hear from you, basically, and what we know, is that the Republicans have got two major issues on this. Number one is they don't want a comprehensive, they want a piece by piece basis. Other thing, they keep on talking about they are not in favor of path to citizenship. And I think this is a political thing probably, because they feel that if even of the 11 million, 7-8 million people becomes US citizens, those votes are going to probably more Democrats than them. But then in that context, I have a question. When they talk about path to US citizenship, are they talking about green card also? Or they are not worried about the green cards, only the citizen part of it? That's up to where are they going? Like from here, giving them a legal status to stay and work, then they get a green card, and then they say, stop, don't talk about further. Are they saying, no, not even a green card? What's your understanding?
Well, I understand that they would have some right to work, but not a path to citizenship. Democrats are united in support of a path to citizenship. Right. Not that it's given out, but that you have to earn it by working, having a Social Security card, paying your taxes, being a responsible citizen, learning English, but that there should be a path to citizenship. That is what we're supporting. But again, the Republicans will decide in which form the bill goes to the floor. And there will be, I believe, a bill on the floor. The question is, what's going to be in that bill? And is it something that moves the country forward and helps the 11 million undocumented workers that we already have in the country?
So you feel confident that there might be something actually
Something
proposed
happening
by the House in the fall? Is that you feel?
Again, but the question is what's in it.
Right, of
and is it
course,
helpful?
of course.
Is it a step forward
Yeah.
that helps with immigration reform in a positive way?
Yeah.
So it looks like from what you are saying and what we understand, that some form of the bill is going to be passed by the Senate. Ultimately, it is going to go before a House Senate conference committee. And if they can compromise, make some compromises and make one bill out of these two bills, then the president will sign. And that was one of the problems in the past also. And that's where the bill got killed. And we are only hoping that some kind of compromise can be made at least, because I'm saying if we take even as a Democrats or you are supporters of the bill, we take a hard line, my way or highway is going to be a problem, right?
Well, I'm a big supporter of bipartisan legislation.
Bipartisan, yes.
I authored the Credit Card Holders Bill of Rights in a bipartisan way, which the Pew Foundation said saves consumers $10 billion a year. I worked very hard on passing the James Adroga 9/11 Health and Compensation Bill for the heroes and heroines who rushed in to save the lives of others and now need their health care. We lost almost 3,000 people in 9/11, but many more lost their health, and we need to take care of them. I'm proud of having authored that bill. So I am there to support a bipartisan effort. I would say that moderates and independents and Democrats and moderate Republicans would support a pathway to citizenship. We just have to see if the votes are there and if we can make it happen. There is a very vocal minority in Congress that is opposed to this step forward, and we'll have to see.
That's like more vocal. And now my question was, I keep on thinking, me and David all the time, we look at the Congress, list of all the congressmen, and we see, first of all Democrats almost are supportive, or there are some Democrats that are also not
I would say
supportive.
most Democrats are supportive.
They are. So we have most of the some Democrats on our side. Now, on the Republican side, how many members we need to get the bill passed? Approximately.
We need 14 members from the Republican side to vote with us to pass
Only
it.
14? We
To
cannot
get a
get
majority,
14?
assuming that you get all of the 204 Democrats that are there.
So then Rubio is there, McCain is there.
They're in the Senate,
They're in the
though.
Senate,
We're in the
They are
House.
senators, but they,
You know,
they
they're in the
can help.
House.
No, they can talk to their colleagues.
I think one of the things is that members of Congress need to hear from their constituents.
Exactly.
They need to hear from their constituents.
That's a great point.
And you have to reach out to them, write them, call them, talk to them about your support for an immigration bill. So that's another thing. We talked earlier about the support of citizens for the Diwali stamp. That's very important. But the same thing is important for the immigration bill, to show your support too. So you can vote, speak, write, and gather. These are really honors or rights that we have in our Constitution, that we can vote, we can speak, we can gather, we can assemble. Let's use those tools to speak out in support of immigration reform. It's long overdue.
But don't you think they should be concerned, the Republicans? They lost the election, the Romney versus Obama. And they know that, they understand that this will backfire if they take a very hard stand. There are a lot of groups. Look, immigrants, women, our gay lesbians, and a lot of these groups that you also talked about, liberal groups and all that, a large number of people will be very dissatisfied. This may affect their elections in 2014 and 16. Are they not concerned about this?
I agree with you completely, but also we have to remember that a democracy is a lot of work, and people have to vote. They have to speak out. They have to assemble. And watch how your elected representative votes. Do they vote for inclusive immigration reform, or are they opposed to it? We have a democracy. Let's use it. And during this time, they should be reaching out to their elected representatives and urging them to be part of the solution, to be part of supporting comprehensive immigration reform.
And the best way is, David, that we talked about, you and me, when we approach the congressmen and tell them our own stories. And David will tell people about what they went through and where they are and what kind of suffering. People that have already been here 10 years, 15 years, and you are putting them another in 10 years of term to stay that way and not become the green card holders. And the best thing that I put them examples, like one story that where one of my clients came in a few years ago, say, my father has died, Mr. Phulwani, I have to go. I say, you go, but you won't be able to come back for another 10 years. Then I convinced him, okay. After maybe 4 or 5 years, his mother died. And he comes to me, my mother's died, please let me go. I say, I'm not stopping you, but this is the problem. So he bite the bullet and not go. Then after 5, 6 years, his sister was getting married. No parents there, both parents had died. He said, at least let me go and attend my sister's wedding, give it away. I said, I know, but I cannot do anything. The Congress has to make the change in the law. Millions of these people, the example I'm giving you, are very crying, anxiously waiting. They just want to get the bill passed. They just want to go back home to visit the family. They just want to become out of those shadows. They want to just get a social security number, get a driving license, work in the US and live in their human beings rather than underground things.
I agree completely, and I hear the same type of stories, and oftentimes the people are outstanding community leaders and small business and business owners, and they come and they tell me they're undocumented. And the same story, they need to go home for an emergency, and I have to tell them the way the law is written, you cannot do it. You cannot.
I'm certain that the Congresswoman has a representative in her office who assists constituents
Absolutely.
specifically with immigration-related issues and helps them to try to solve these problems herself. So
Right,
she's
exactly.
probably keenly in tune to the issues. I want to commend you on what I perceive to be your observation about overcoming the hardest hurdle to the possible passage of comprehensive immigration reform, and that is this bipartisanship. And that is, I think, it's so important for, I think, our congressional representatives to understand the importance of the balance and the moderation, and to be able to come to a reasonable mean between the two extremes to be able to pass this bill. So I very much appreciate your observations.
And I would say the best legislation is always bipartisan. And if it doesn't have bipartisan support for that fragile flower called consensus that gets 215 votes to pass the United States Congress, and I have great respect for any bill that can pass the United States Congress. If you don't have a consensus and a bipartisan approach, when the other party comes to power, the first thing they try to do is undo whatever the other one did. And so you're in this constant back and forth. But if you work together, then it's permanent. And we need a permanent solution. But a democracy is a lot of work.
Absolutely.
And it's not enough just to vote. You have to get out and be part of the process, reach out to your elected representatives, and use your constitutional rights to speak, to write, to assemble, and to vote, to work with the greater good, the grand good of a democracy to pass this important bill.
Thank you very much. And we're running out of the time.
Thank you.
And we are grateful to you.
I am the grateful one. Thank you.
And I'm sure that when our viewers call us and tell us, can you have Congresswoman Maloney come back again, we'll request you.
Oh, thank you. It's been my great pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you so much.
And thank all of you for watching the program, and goodbye.
Bye now.
Wow, that was good.